Let's talk about speed. And I don't just mean the number you see on your dashboard. I'm talking about the force you're controlling, the difference between a relaxing drive and a really bad day. Today, we're jumping into the key lessons from Unit 5 of the Driving Handbook, all about the physics of driving, so you can really understand the power you have behind the wheel.
You know, every time you head out, you're basically piloting a couple thousand pounds of metal. It's easy to forget, but that's a huge amount of kinetic energy. And as our source material makes crystal clear, all that momentum has some pretty serious and unbending consequences if things go wrong.
I mean, think about it. When you're cruising along, everything feels so smooth, almost effortless. But what's actually happening in that split second when you have to slam on the brakes? What forces are at play? Well, it's a whole chain reaction that's way more complex than just stomping on a pedal. And that leads us right into our first section. See, if you want to truly master the road, you've got to respect the power you're in control of. So let's break down the real physical consequences of the speed you choose. Okay, this right here, this is the golden rule, pulled straight from the handbook. And it's not a friendly suggestion, it's an absolute law of safe driving. You have to be able to stop your car in the clear distance you can see ahead, period. It doesn't matter if it's another car, a patch of ice, or a toy rolling into the street. This one principle really does govern everything. So, before we get into the art of driving, adjusting your speed and reading the road, we have to cover the science. Let's talk about the hard and fast rules, the official speed limits that are the absolute baseline for everyone. The rules are pretty straightforward, but they're different depending on what you're driving. For smaller vehicles like cars, it's simple. Just follow the signs. But for bigger vehicles like trucks or buses, there's a really important default limit in cities. 50 kilometers per hour is the max unless a sign tells you otherwise. And knowing that difference is absolutely crucial, especially when you're driving in a busy downtown area. But here's the thing that separates the okay drivers from the truly great ones. That number on the speed limit sign, that's a maximum, not a target. Real driving skill is all about reading the road, the weather, your car, and adjusting your speed to match what's happening right now. And there are a ton of factors that should be like a little alarm bell in your head telling you to slow down. The handbook is super clear about this. Is the road wet or sandy? Your grip is gone. Is your car loaded down with heavy stuff? It's going to take you longer to stop. And don't even get me started on worn out tires or brakes that aren't working right. Driving fast with any of these issues isn't just a bad idea. It's a massive gamble. And this just says it all, doesn't it? Look at the picture on the left, a perfect, clear, dry day. Now look at the right, a wet, slick road you can barely see. You wouldn't even think about driving the same speed in both of these situations, right? Your speed always has to be your answer to the conditions you're facing, right in that moment. Okay, this brings us to what might be the single most important skill of all, managing the space around your car. We call it a safety cushion, and that cushion is all about one critical calculation, your total stopping distance. Let's break that down. The first part is what's called reaction distance. This is how far your car travels in the time it takes for your brain to even see a hazard and send the signal to your foot to brake. And here's the kind of scary part. During that entire time, you're still moving at full speed. You haven't slowed down one bit. So how long does all that processing take? For the average person, it's about 1 full second. Now, 1 second sounds like nothing, right? But if you're going 100 kilometers per hour, your car travels almost 28 meters. That's basically the length of a professional basketball court before your foot has even made it to the brake pedal. Wild. Then you've got the second part of the equation, braking distance. This is the actual distance your car needs to screech to a complete stop after you've hit the brakes. This is where raw physics just takes over. Your speed, the weight of your vehicle, and the friction between your tires and the road all come into play. So, you put it all together. Your reaction distance plus your braking distance gives you your total stopping distance. It's a super simple but incredibly important 3-step process. You see the problem, you react to it, and then you brake. If you can get that sequence locked in your mind, you'll always know how to keep a safe following distance. All right, so we've covered the really core safety stuff about speed and space. Now let's talk about how being a master of those skills can actually pay off in other ways, for the environment and even for your wallet. The handbook has some really great advice on this front. I mean, simple things like keeping up with regular maintenance don't just make your car safer, they make it run more efficiently. Carpooling? Less traffic, fewer emissions. And of course, choosing a fuel-efficient car is a huge win. They all feel like small things, But when we all do them, they add up to a big deal.
In the end, everything we've talked about today really boils down to this one powerful idea from the handbook. Driving is not a passive activity. It requires us to stay alert and take an active role in making the roads safe. That's a responsibility we have to ourselves, sure, but also to every other person we're sharing the road with.
So the next time you get behind the wheel, just remember, you're not just driving, you're managing energy, space, and time. Becoming a smarter, safer driver doesn't start when you turn the key in the ignition. It starts with understanding and respecting the power at your command. Drive safe out there.